presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Florida.
What a week this has been. First it was Rally Cat and his glorious escape. Wednesday it was power or lack of that delayed the game. Last night, full moon. It was long, 16 innings long. Travis d'Arnaud's homer at 12:30 in the morning gave the Mets the win. Who knows what goes down tonight? Tonight, the roof is closed. You can see some clouds above. Mets and Marlins. Hope you got some sleep out there. Rub those eyes. Get yourself a little something to eat. Pull up a chair. We got baseball tonight. The Mets are just red hot. I mean, smoking hot. And the Marlins and the Mets played well into the morning. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. We got out of here about 1 in the morning. It was 5.5, almost 5 hours and 40 minutes of baseball. 16 innings, longest game in Marlins history. The result, though, another Mets win and another Mets power show.
Well, and this is what they have. They did this last year, and they're picking up where they left off, and that's the interesting thing about it. 20 home runs on the season already, lots of power. Power arms on the mound as well. It's how they do. Listen, the Marlins, if they're going to win this division, if they're going to get to the playoffs, we've talked about this an awful lot. They've got to win their division, so they've got to play better against teams like the Mets.
They're 2-2 against the Mets. They won't have Yoenis Cespedes to deal with tonight. He played with the flu last night and is not in there tonight. But this guy is, and he's hot, and he has hit Edinson Volquez well.
Well, you're telling me if Cespedes isn't in there and he had the flu last night, he would have hit 3 home runs. My goodness, he's hot as a firecracker. Jay Bruce swinging it well. 5-game hitting streak right now. 3 home runs.
So Bruce is in there, and you saw he's facing Edinson Volquez. That's the other part of the story, and the other remnant from last night. With Adam Conley having to come into the game, Volquez on regular rest is moved up to start tonight.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Edinson Volquez to really step up as the guy in this rotation. He is stepping up and stepping out. You said that right there. He's changed his game plan because of the circumstances last night. We'll see what he's got.
All right, we'll see what we got, too. There's Thor. Noah Syndergaard really carved up Miami when he faced him up at Citi Field.
Nothing changes. Hardest thrower in the National League, brings it 98 miles an hour. Although he has been using his secondary pitches a little bit, not much is going to change. You will see the high, hard, fast one tonight.
We'll see if the second look within a week works for the fish. Late nights, I mean early morning. All of that last night, Craig and Niner discuss. on the escape, had the power outage, and last night we ended up with a fish in pajamas. How did that happen, Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine?
Well, I'll give you 5.5 hours of reasons, because that game went 5:38, longest game in Marlins history, ending in the wee hours, and it's tough, especially when you lose the game. It really stinks.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you play basically two full games.
Yeah.
If you come away with a victory, all that 5 hours and 38 minutes is all worth it. But when you come up with the loss, not so much.
Look at the numbers here. Among the longest in Marlins history, longest ever in this ballpark. The two longest went 20 innings, one on against St. Louis, and the other one was at the New York Mets. The St. Louis game, I believe, was a home game here. That was on a travel day, and that Met game, 20 innings. It was the longest game you ever played.
I missed all those
Yeah,
dates I missed.
every one of them.
Every single one of them.
Do you have a long one in your career, you remember? Must have had
I
one,
remember
probably.
a 16-inning affair in Baltimore when I was there. And
Yeah.
we played at the time in Old Pro Player, as it was
Right.
called, the longest 9-inning game. Maybe in history, it was like 4 hours and 30 minutes for 9 innings.
For 9 innings.
Yeah.
Now, it did have an effect on this game tonight. Volquez, who was supposed to pitch tomorrow, will pitch tonight. Conley's supposed to pitch tonight, will pitch tomorrow. And unfortunately, Nick Whitgren, 3 great innings. He goes down because the Marlins needed an arm. They call up Garcia.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Nick Whitgren was the only one in the bullpen that had options left. They sent him down to just bring back a little health to the bullpen because of what you had to go through last night.
Ichiro will get the start tonight. Stanton will start on the bench for Miami. Cespedes is also out, but boy, the Mets have been hitting homers with and without him. They've got 20 to lead the majors. Game 2 of the series coming up. Mets and the Fish next on Fox Sports Florida.
By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By your South Florida Chevy dealers. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Don Mattingly bobblehead.
Thank you.
Pretty cool. Tony Baseball on that top rail on that bobblehead as well. Edinson Volquez pressed into duty. Day early. Regular rest, though, because of the off day on Monday. And he'll face a Mets lineup that, as Craig just described, is really swinging it. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Granderson, Cabrera, and Bruce. Lucas Duda hitting cleanup. Michael Conforto is in left field. Wilmer Flores at second. Jose Reyes at third base. Aha, Noah Syndergaard hits eighth. And Rene Rivera, the catcher, is in the 9 spot. Batter in the box, here we go. Edinson Volquez delivers. Strike one. DJ Rayburn behind the plate. Mike DeMuro, Trent Gibson, and Brian Gorman. Numbers from Volquez.
You see him right there, 10 and 11 last year. That is not with the Marlins. That is with the Kansas City Royals. 5.37 ERA, almost 200 innings pitched. He is a workhorse.
Bunted, Real Muto out to get it and throws him out. Granderson against the shift. Had he been able to flatten that out, probably would have had a hit, and that's the athleticism of Real Muto.
You see the shift right there, partner. Everybody on the other side, kind of like Jay Bruce did last night, but he wasn't anticipating JT Real Muto popping out from behind home plate and getting on that. Edinson Volquez really has no play, but you see JT, great play, throws a strike to Poor at first base for the out.
Real Muto got the night off last night, and that was a good night to have the night off as a catcher.
Well, he's got some spring in his step tonight. I mean, you know, he doesn't have the heavy legs. You can tell. I thought I didn't have the opportunity to ask A.J. Ellis about that, but the catchers last night, boy, we were talking about it. Long, long night behind home plate.
As Drupal Cabrera, Don Mattingly had Ellis in there last night. And so Real Muto going tonight. Real Muto did appear as a pinch hitter. Cabrera goes after a fastball, lifts it to left, and Ozuna is there, and he makes the catch.
Let's take a look at your Miami Marlins on defense. Ozuna's going to be in left field, Yelich in center. You see Ichiro is going to be playing right field tonight. Dietrich, Rojas, Gordon, Bohr around the infield. Real Muto behind home plate. Edinson Volquez with the ball on the mound tonight for the Marlins.
And here is Bruce, the guy that we talked about in the outset of the show, not only for what he's doing now, but for what he's done against Volquez. And the Marlins will shift Bruce as well, although Derek Dietrich at a very shallow shortstop spot right now, the Marlins' third baseman. Ozuna again. This time on the run. 6 pitches. Edinson Volquez goes 1-2-3 in the first. JT Real Muto has a helmet, has a bat, and up the steps he goes. He's hitting second tonight in Don Mattingly's lineup, which is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. D. Gordon leads it off. 8-game streak for D. Gordon. Real Muto, Yelich, Ozuna to follow. Justin Bohr, Derek Dietrich, and Ichiro gets a start in right. Giancarlo Stanton the night off. Miguel Rojas is at short, hitting 8th. And Edinson Volquez, who swung the bat well, a couple hits early in the season. He's in the 9 spot, and this is a tall order for Miami. A tall guy, 6'6", 240-pound Noah Syndergaard.
Thor as he goes by. Many believe he is actually a superhero. You're going to see a lot of fastballs tonight. 98 to 100 miles an hour, although, as I said in the pregame, he's throwing more secondary pitches so far this year. Granted, it's a small sample size, but he is using
His slider an awful lot more, curveball, changeup occasionally, but that slider has been a good pitch for him.
Gordon takes a rip at a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. And the count, a ball and a strike. D. Gordon and the Marlins had their moments offensively last night. Gordon has 3 hits. He did not walk in the game. He ended up going 3 for 8 in the game.
It's a doubleheader.
It is. It is.
Now, a lot of weight on both of these starters. I know that they're feeling it tonight. Call it the obligation. They certainly want to go long tonight. They want to be efficient with their pitches, inning to inning. And they want to go out there and give their teams length tonight. Both bullpens plowed through both of them last night. We had guys coming up, down, option, looking for arms, all sorts of things going on post game. Both guys tonight thinking, I can really pick my team up tonight if I can get 100 pitches and get through 7 innings.
Two pitch is flipped foul and out of play, and I think both managers were still taking an inventory about an hour and a half before first pitch as to what their bullpens look like. Terry Collins, Dan Worthen there, Don Mattingly, and of course he and Juan Nieves going through their list. Two. Pitch is in. All right, popcorn is good to eat. Probably not good as a glove.
Yeah, popcorn down. You see, if you're looking through it, popcorn went all the way down.
See, I think you could take that back to the concession stand with the hole in the bottom and say, hey, line drive, left field. Did he get it? No. It bounced. That's a base hit. And Gordon is aboard. Even Gordon is looking out there wondering. Conforto.
Yep, short hop. There you go. And some grass spray.
He sold it well, though.
He did. Well, he kind of ran through the catch. Well, the attempted catch is what it is. That is how you sell it right there. But today's day and age, stuff like that's going to get seen. You might have been able to get away with it a few years ago.
D was looking for a safe call. The umpires didn't really give the safe call until late. But a good start there. Now, the one piece of kryptonite for Thor is stolen bases. He's tried to improve his time to the plate. Gordon thought about running. Real Muto bounces it in the hole. It's short. Cabrera throws it away, and it's into right field. Gordon headed to third. Real Muto to second. And Miami with a big break here. As Drupal Cabrera, it wasn't hit that hard, and he did have to go to his right.
But you had a chance to get the out at second base on D. Gordon. Just pulls the throw a little bit. Kind of stayed through the throw just a little bit too much. You see Flores right there trying to come up with it. Ball leaks into right field. D. Gordon and JT Realmuto able to move up a base.
You can see how far offline that throw is. Now Yelich, and the Mets infield is back. Ground ball by the mound, scores a run. Yelich takes outside from Syndergaard. Yelich drives it left center field deep. Granderson going back. There, makes the catch. Gordon scores. Real Muto tags, and that does the trick. It scores a run, and it moves a runner to third.
Well, moves both runners. That's exactly what you want to see right there. Great contact from Christian Yelich.
Mets defense tonight.
Let's take a look at Terry Collins' Mets defense. Conforto's going to get the start in left field. Granderson, you just saw him tracking down that fly ball. He is in center. Jay Bruce, Reyes, Cabrera, Flores, and Duda around the infield. Rivera is going to do the catching tonight. Thor is on the mound.
Now the Mets infield, half of it is in. The right side's in. Cabrera's halfway. And a fastball misses in. In fact, both Reyes and Cabrera are off the grass area and back midway on the left side, respecting that pull power of Ozuna, but the right side is in. Real Muto at third. Ground ball, Reyes has it. Fires across in time, and it's a big out to get for Syndergaard.
These are the opportunities. These are the little things, air quotes right there for you, that Don Mattingly talks about. Going up against Noah Syndergaard, arguably the best right-hander in the game. Got to come through with those situations. Ozuna's been absolutely stellar this season, coming through in those spots. You can tell right there he's a little frustrated. Got a slider out over the plate. Not able to do more with it.
Now Justin Bour. 1 for 7 last night, an RBI double. And there's the secondary pitches you're talking about. Syndergaard starts the Bour at bat with strike 1. Again, doubles up on the changeup. He's out in front 0-2. You see the infield against Bour.
Well, they're going to play him to pull on the ground, but you see in the outfield it's just the opposite. And that really is the book on Justin Bour here in the early going of the season. He's hit a lot of balls in the air to the outfield the other way. So a little mixing and matching for the Mets.
Didn't throw him a fastball, and he got 3 swings and misses. Miami gets a run, though, and leads it 1-0.
We saw last night.
My goodness, a lot of them. Group sales. Get your personalized experience with your group. Spend quality time with a client or your family. Marlins games provide a perfect setting for that. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/groups today. He had 509 pitches total last night. Marlins threw 253. The Mets threw 256. Duda, Conforto, and Flores. And Volquez is out in front 0-1. Duda last night had the night off and went 0 for 4. That's kind of the way it went for guys that weren't playing.
Yeah, he just played the second game of the doubleheader.
He just jumped on a moving train all the way to the 16th inning. See him turn away from that pitch. Called strike, and it's 0-2.
Edinson Volquez in a real nice rhythm early. You talked about the number of pitches he threw in the first inning, but you see how he's attacking the strike. So this is exactly what you want to see in a game like this, where your players are kind of feeling their way through it a little bit right now.
Breaking ball punched into center field, and Duda's got a hit. Well, the lefty bat certainly a challenge for Volquez tonight, because the Mets have some pretty good ones in there.
And they're stacked. You see right here in the middle of their lineup, Duda, Conforto, obviously saw Jay Bruce in the first inning right there, but 3 really good left-handed hitters in a row that Edinson Volquez is going to have to find his way through.
There are the splits, and that obviously a small sample size. That's just 2 starts this season. And you see the home runs against lefties. This is one of the guys that hit one of those home runs. Jay Bruce the other. Michael Conforto is the hitter. With Duda at first. His father a linebacker at Penn State. His mother a gold medalist in swimming in the Olympics. Conforto played his college ball at Oregon State. Knee-high strike.
Still has a very bright future with the Mets. They have not given up on him. You think back to last year, his swing path, and talked to a few people a little bit underneath the ball, had his struggles last year, but so far this season it's just been straight to the ball, driving the ball to both gaps, hitting for power, fighting his way in that lineup.
And there have been times where the Mets have sent him down and he's come back up, and so people see him in his 3rd year and say, well, geez, he better get it together quickly. He's 24.
Now,
his first year in the big leagues, he was 22.
Well, he may find that this role serves him well. It's not the easiest role to be in. Most players, I did this a little bit later in my career, you find out, where you're starting 2-3 times a week and then you're pinch hitting every night. It's not simple. He's off to a great start this season in the role, earning himself more playing time.
1-2. Good pitch. Volquez has a good circle change. He was born with it. It's kind of the birthright of those diminutive right-handed Dominican starters.
Yeah, you see it right there. And the best part about this is that he's able to hide it till the end of the at-bat, and that's exactly what you want to do. If you don't show it too much, pitches like this have tremendous effectiveness. Kind of like Tazawa. We were talking about this last night. His split-finger fastball. Typically, you're not showing that early and often and repeatedly. You want to put it somewhere so that when you get ahead, you're able to throw it where the hitter is not expecting it.
Wilmer Flores back up the middle. Diving stop. Gordon shovels it. Rojas turns it, not in time. What a double play that would have been. As it is, a terrific out to get at second base.
Absolutely incredible effort on D. Gordon going to the backhand up the middle. You see the rollover and the flip. Oh, just by a step right there. That would have been the double play of the year for me right there. They would have been able to turn it. Whew.
Jose Reyes came into last night's game in a mighty slump and came into the game and punched a single into left field. So Reyes is back in there tonight at third base, hitting 7th. And I think you're onto something here, Todd. I think both starters understand the necessity of getting 6-7 innings at the very least tonight. And it's pound the strike zone time. Volquez has been really aggressive in doing that.
Well, it's a way you pick your team up quickly. You look through the cause and the effect of 509 pitches last night. We've already talked about the couple players getting sent down from both organizations, different guys in the bullpen, and even the players who are still there. There's a handful of guys that were overused even last night's ball game, asked to do more than they traditionally do. 30 pitches, 40 pitches, 2 or 3 innings on both sides. So you're not in a position where you're hoping or you're thinking. And remember, the Marlins, this has been their way all season long. Let's get to the bullpen. It's our strength. We'll use it. Tonight, you're hoping for a long, lengthy start from Edinson Volquez.
2-0 missed outside. Now, There are some of you that have just stepped into this game, whether you're watching on Fox Sports Florida or on Twitter tonight, by the way. Welcome to all of you in the Twitterverse. And you saw Adam Conley, and if you didn't follow last night's game, Conley, who was slated to start tonight, had to come in and pitch the 16th inning at 12:30 in the morning last night. Gave up a home run to Travis d'Arnaud and got the loss. As a result, he doesn't start here. It's a ball 4 to Reyes. Volquez, who is going to start tomorrow night, moves up to start tonight. With the day off on Monday, it's regular day's rest for Volquez, and Conley will start tomorrow night. And Don Mattingly said earlier that it's very similar to just a bullpen session for Conley. So he doesn't expect any sort of limits on Conley because of his appearance last night, and so he gets the ball tomorrow night.
And that's great to hear, because both managers are doing everything in their power to lessen the significance or the impact of last night's ball game on their roster.
All right, here is Syndergaard. The Mets with a little wrinkle, having him in the 8th spot. Terry Collins a little bit because Syndergaard can swing it, but a lot of it has to do with the speed of Rene Rivera,
or lack thereof,
and the fact that Syndergaard is a better hitter than Rivera. And so they have Rivera, the Mets do, in the 9 spot, and Syndergaard hitting 8. And Volquez all of a sudden can't find the plate. There's Rivera. One dynamic when you have a really slow number 8 hitter, it could be problematic in the National League with your pitcher trying to bunt that runner from first to second.
They know. They're anticipating that.
Syndergaard knew that a fastball was coming, and he took a rip at it.
See that right there. He's already found some success at Marlins Park. 3 for 6 in his career.
Syndergaard, a big, tall Texan, high school draft pick out of Mansfield High School. And of course, it was the Toronto Blue Jays that took him in the R.A. Dickey trade. Sent Syndergaard to the Mets. Travis d'Arnaud as well came over. Mike Nickias and Josh Tolley were the other 2 Mets involved in that deal. 3-1 here. Volquez to Syndergaard with runners first and second.
Yeah, most people in baseball think the Mets did pretty well in that trade. I have a feeling it's going to go down, historically speaking, as one of the most lopsided trades of all time.
You don't have too many people that disagree with you on that.
Well, and again, it's a short sample size, but the future is so bright for Noah Syndergaard. And most people just continue to expect and really believe that greatness is going to follow him for about the next decade.
Runners on the move here. Full count, 2 outs. Volquez to the plate. And he lost him. Boy, Volquez was cruising, getting quick outs, and now all of a sudden, a walk to Reyes and a walk to Syndergaard.
Man has gotten away from him. You go back to the play, the Flores ground ball back up the middle. D. Gordon able to get an out at second base. You pair that with the last 2 walks, and Volquez is struggling with his command just a little bit right now.
So here is Rene Rivera, Mets catcher. His numbers on the season last year hit just .222. I told you last night, he's the best defensive catcher the Mets have. And d'Arnaud is the best offensive catcher. Boy, did d'Arnaud show it last night with 4 hits, including that game-winning home run.
Out of the 8th spot in the lineup.
It's down low and it's 2-0. What do you see right now from Volquez?
He's flying open. Pretty simple, yeah. I mean, you watch his front shoulder. He's getting open too quick, and he's exposing that shoulder, and he's kind of dragging his arm. That's a byproduct of getting open too quick. And what you see him doing, especially on his two-seam fastball to the last hitter, that's why that tailing action was so extreme. It's moving more than he wants it to right now. You see when that front shoulder starts to get open, that slider, it starts to roll up there as opposed to kind of snap and finish.
Book has been fiddling with his spikes. And now Bat Boy's on his way out. A lot of times they'll come out with that wood stick so you can clean out the spikes, get the clay out. On major league mounds and on major league plate areas and batters boxes, it's a clay to keep from digging a deep hole. One of the curious things I found in Japan, in the Japanese ballparks, they've brought in American clay for their mounds and their plates over there because the clay here works so well in a baseball sense on a mound and a plate.
I think he was icing the kicker. Rivera up, the bases loaded, 2-0 count. It's a good little timeout right there.
See if he can regroup. Driven to left. Ozuna is there, and he makes the catch. Hit hard, but at Ozuna. And Volquez wriggles out of the second. Day around baseball tomorrow. Love this day. It's always so cool to go back and not only talk about the legacy and what he meant in the game of baseball, in this country, in this world, but also some of the things that he did as an athlete, a three-sport star at UCLA, and a guy that really changed the game too in terms of the way he played, the speed, steals of home, all of that. That's all tomorrow. So we've got our number 42 buttons ready to go. Players will have the 42 on their backs.
Really looking forward to it. Remember, I'm an ex-Dodger. It's a big holiday. Jackie Robinson Day.
I'm sure you had a chance to meet Rachel Robinson
many times.
And the Robinson family. Dietrich, fastball strike. Now the Rookie of the Year award that you won, is it the Jackie Robinson Award?
Yeah.
Was it named that when you won it?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Beautiful plaque at home.
Very nice.
Up in the office.
It's not a book, you know, a book stop or a door stop or anything like that.
It's my son's door stop up in his bed. No, it's well represented in the home office.
0-2 pitch, and Dietrich pops it out towards second. All right, let's scout Noah Syndergaard.
You see right there, 2016 National League All-Star, and if you ask players around the game today who the best right-hander in the game is, his name is going to come up an awful lot. It may not be unanimous, but certainly most people will tell you top three. Absolutely just dominant fastball, 98, 100 miles an hour, consistently start to finish in a ball game.
Ichiro, first pitch, and a fly ball to center field.
So many people around the game. I'll go back to last year at the beginning of the year when Noah Syndergaard came onto the scene. You saw a lot of that fastball when he was introduced to the big leagues. Came out, threw it an awful lot. You didn't see a whole lot of secondary pitches, and I think last year was really his coming out party. Think back at the beginning of the year, Matt Harvey was dealing with some issues, that rotation was dealing with some issues, and all of a sudden this big young man was rising to the top of that rotation. You saw the fastball, and then you started to see those secondary pitches. A lot of people around the game will tell you he's the best of the crop.
He's the healthiest of the crop as far as the Mets starters go. The Mets have really had to endure a lot of Tommy John surgeries, shoulder issues, a variety of stuff from a variety of starters. Rojas gets the 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And you see the numbers last year. In his career, his ERA is 2.80.
Well, and I think the two things that stand out to me as most impressive when we look at those stats, once again, 183 and 2/3 innings pitched, but it was the 43 walks. It's not a very high number. That's somebody who knows how to command the strike zone and go after hitters. I'll pair that with 11 home runs surrendered. Outstanding stuff.
And you saw in that Auto Nation scouting report, the bottom line, memorable threads. His parents have a chest of all of the jerseys that he wore as a kid in a variety of leagues, and Rojas sends one into left field for a hit. Second hit against Syndergaard that turns the lineup over, and then it gets Volquez to the plate here. In the scouting report and just in a discussion about Syndergaard, you always seem to get to that velocity. 100 plus in the last 2 years. Syndergaard 151. Look at the next closest guy, James Paxton, 28. Volquez busts his bat. Flores on to first. And for Syndergaard, a 9-pitch inning. 1-0. Miami on top. Banquet timeless moments. 1908. Just like yesterday, wasn't it?
For you.
After winning his second straight batting title, Honus Wagner bought 20 copies of his rookie card. No, he didn't. He should have, though. He signed his first 5-figure contract, $10,000 deal with Pittsburgh.
Are you kidding me? I mean,
I love
$10,000.
I love the fact that they've got on those great old jerseys, they've got pockets.
Yeah.
And on the chest, on the coats, almost like a pajamas or, you know, a sport coat with those pockets down by the waist.
Yeah, those old time jerseys, they don't breathe very well.
Oh, I get it. Very nice. Christian Roberts, our director, a little old school. That's how the RoboCam looked in Honus Wagner's day. $2.1 million. Those the last Honus Wagner card to sell.
Well,
so that would have been a pretty good investment, right?
That seems like an injustice. $10,000 contract and his card sells for $2.1 million.
See, doesn't this give you a feel of 1908?
Sure. Except for the OxyClean sign in the upper right-hand
Right
corner.
MLB Network is
Right,
a
that
dead
too.
giveaway. That and batting helmets. 0-2 pitch. Granderson trying to bunt for a hit. That was back in the first. It was a great play by Real Muto to pop out and throw him out. Volquez trying to get back to what he had in that first inning, which was 1-2-3. He gave up a single and a pair of walks, but not a run in the seconds.
I think he got Granderson on the foot. No? Okay, good. Just making sure he walked that off.
There's your starters tomorrow night. Jacob deGrom and Adam Conley. 6:30 for Marlins Live on a Saturday night at Marlins Park. First fireworks show of the season is tomorrow night.
Vincent Volquez really looking to get back into rhythm here.
And he loses Granderson. Third walk issued as Drupal Cabrera. AARP presents Getting to Know Him. Two-time All-Star, unassisted triple play last year of his contract. And once traded for our good friend Eduardo Perez.
How about that?
Cabrera came from Seattle. Eduardo came from Cleveland. They crossed in the air probably over Denver. And that was a big trade for the Cleveland Indians. And even Eduardo will tell you that the Indians got the best of that deal. Eight years with the Indians. Nationals, Rays, and now his second year with the Mets. And he had one of the best seasons of his career last year. 30 doubles, 23 homers. His .810 OPS, on base slugging, was a career best.
Yeah. Kind of reversed the trend over the last few years leading into that season. And you know, some guys looked right in uniforms, and I think that for many, Cabrera looked right in the Mets uniform. Had a fantastic season. One of the guys that was there from start to finish. Not a lot of guys can say that. Mets dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Volquez really wants to get locked back in. As I was saying, you see the count 0-2. He's walked 3 of the last 4 hitters he's faced. Curtis Granderson over at first base.
Cabrera to me has always been an interesting guy because it's always fascinating to hear what a team values in a shortstop. Do they want a guy that has Andrelton Simmons type defensive numbers? Sure. Cabrera's not that guy. He does not have that type of range. He's a steady glove man, but he's a slugging shortstop.
Right.
His slugging percentage career is right around .420.
Well, you're getting into the depth of an organizational construction conversation there. You know, you talk about, you know, whether you have a defensive shortstop or an offensive shortstop. What is your team like? You look at the Mets here, and we'll break it down for you. They've got power arms, and they pile up strikeouts. Do you need the best defender at shortstop, or do you need somebody who might be a little bit more offensive-minded? Makes a little bit more sense for a team like this.
That's a good point. He's the type of hitter, too, that as his career gets in the later stages, he could end up on a corner at third base.
Well, and this Mets team is littered. The youth on this team, really, other than Conforto in this rotation, I mean, that's where you find the youth of this team. Everywhere else, it's littered with veterans. Curtis Granderson, Lucas Duda, David Wright, obviously still part of the organization. He's injured right now, but I mean, you look around the field and it's veterans.
Count 1-2. Volquez control issues have pushed his pitch count up to 39. He misses out. And again, pitch count important for both Volquez and for Syndergaard because of the arms that threw last night in 16 innings. As Todd pointed out, was it 509 pitches?
Correct.
Two. Got him.
Picks up his second strikeout of the ball game. You see that two-seam fastball, little tailing action right there at the knees. So much of that at bat to Cabrera was working the outside corner. Great tailing fastball right there, back to the inside corner.
By the way, we wanted to give our best wishes for a quick return to work for Andrew Short, who works as one of our video engineers. We hope that you're doing okay, and we look forward to seeing you soon back here at Marlins Park. Which is outside, and it's 2-0 to Bruce.
We talked about it a little bit last inning. You see that arm side fade, especially on the changeup, his two-seam fastball as well. It's got so much movement, so much action that it's actually working way off the outside corner. And the left-handed hitters, they're becoming easy takes for them. They're not even flinching.
Busted bat through the shift into center field. Granderson turns second, on his way to third. And the throw hits Granderson in the back. Holding first is Bruce. And the Mets are in business again. Volquez going to have to face the teeth of the order.
Now you see the shift right there. Three guys on the right side, goes right back through the box. Jay Bruce, even though he breaks his bat, strong enough to get it through there. Curtis Granderson gets a good read. He's taking that extra base right there. He decides he's gone. Able to get into third base safely. He's now reached base safely in 19 consecutive ball games dating back to last year.
Here's that spot in the order where the lefty bats are lined up. Obviously, you've got Granderson on base. Cabrera's a switch hitter. Bruce a lefty. Duda a lefty. Conforto a lefty. Infield playing Duda to pull. He fouls it back to the screen. Lucas Duda with a single in the second.
part of this powerful Mets lineup. It's already got 3 home runs on the season. 2-homer game in Philly.
Well, homers have become a way of life for the Mets, who have won 5 straight and popped 16 homers in those 5 games.
They won all those games?
They won all those games. Scored 37 runs.
So I kind of was getting at it. That is just piling on. Any kind of decent pitching through offensive numbers like that, and you're winning a lot of baseball games. That's why you see the Mets in the position that they are in right now, 7-3 on the season.
This appears to be a night where Volquez is not at his sharpest, but the veteran in him and the pitcher in him so far has been able to navigate around his issues.
Well, it's a balancing act.
2-1 pitch. It's a really good changeup.
He's still going to it. We've talked about this. You know, as talented as this Mets lineup is, as much power as it has, you have to mix your pitches under all circumstances, whether there's a few of those secondary pitches that you may not believe in or you're not feeling are going to be that effective for you. You've got to stay with that game plan because of the number of power hitters in this lineup.
Two. Oh, wow. And Volquez puts his arms up as if to say, where did it miss? That was close.
It missed by much. It did it all.
Let's see what he comes back with at 3-2. A running fastball that misses outside, and New York has the bags loaded again. Juan Nieves is on his way out.
Let's take a look at that last pitch one more time. As I told you, that front shoulder's flying right open. You see where JT Realmuto's setting up. He's looking to go low and in. Remember the strike he picked up a couple hitters ago? That's where he wanted to go. Not only did he miss low in the zone, he missed outside. And front shoulder's kind of getting open too quick, and ball is just running arm side way out of the strike zone right now.
How do you fix that?
Well, you keep that front shoulder closed. I mean, it's something that you can speak into being. I mean, unless you physically do it, but it's about lining your shoulders up right now, and he's getting so quick, and he's got so much movement. You almost feel like there's an element of aiming going on, and when your ball is running, you start to, it's almost like aiming the dart, and you know what it's going to do when you throw it. But do you throw it down the middle of the plate so that it ends up to the outside corner, or are you starting it on the outside corner and it's ending up outside the strike zone?
Not a lot of margin for error here.
No.
Conforto is a powerful guy. 2 homers. He homered against Volquez up in New York. Bags loaded. Infield looking for a ground ball. No doubt Conforto looking for something he can blast here. No swing. That's Brian Gorman down at third base. Different umpiring crew from last night. The crew from the 2-game series against Atlanta stuck around for 1 here, and a new crew is in for the next 3. It's DJ Rayburn behind home plate.
Give you another look at that front shoulder. Watch how quick it gets open. See, it's already starting to move there. His arm's not even back yet, and it's already starting to open up. And right now, what Mets hitters are doing is basically eliminating secondary pitches. They're not even worried about it. They're not recognizing the changeup. They're not even acknowledging the slider right now. They're sitting on his fastball because he's not throwing enough strikes.
4 walks, 52 pitches. And the base is filled with Mets. Volquez gave up 5 runs, 4 earned. Bruce and Conforto both homered. That was on Sunday in New York. He misses low. Again, still fiddling with his spikes in that plant area. There's the split this inning. It's a mess.
seems to be just off a little bit right now. That mound's bothering him. He thinks it's bothering him, then it is. It becomes mental.
Swing and a high fly ball left center. Yelich is there, tagging third, and scoring is Granderson, and the game is tied. But I think for Volquez a little bit of a relief in that Conforto went after the 3-0 pitch, and the Marlins get it out.
That's a huge relief right there. That's a bases loaded situation. Hitter hitting in my pitch kind of contact. That's what he's looking for right there. My pitch, my spot. Gets it up in the air just a little bit. But that's a huge victory for the Marlins. Sacrifice fly, you're going to take that under those circumstances, especially with Conforto, who's been so hot.
Now Flores bounced into a fielder's choice, a rather spectacular one. Great diving stop by Gordon. The way the Mets have been swinging it, you walk 4 guys and record just 8 outs. If you can get out of here with just 1 run, you got to feel pretty fortunate. That's what Volquez is trying to do right now. And I know it's Don Mattingly bobblehead night right now, but the real bobblehead of Don Mattingly is probably about to explode right now because he's got a bullpen that was used a lot last night. Miami's pen had to throw 13 of the 16 innings. Remember, it was a short start from Chen last night.
Volquez is going to be out there for a while tonight under all circumstances, even though he's laboring. Ideally, he finds it, he gets back, he starts to be more efficient, finds those secondary pitches. But I think with the circumstances being what they are tonight, he's going 90 to 100 under wherever that leads him. He's almost got to.
Fastball in. Volquez certainly has been out there longer than Syndergaard. 58 pitches for Volquez. Syndergaard 24. Bruce at second. Duda at first. A guy that's overcome an awful lot in the last few years in his personal life. That World Series in 2015, the death of his father. His family did not want to tell him before he pitched game 1. He found out after game 1. Came back and pitched game 5, and both of those games were wins by the Royals. Runners on the move, driven deep down the line, and foul, and not by much.
Let's take another look at it. Definitely foul. Nice catch out there.
Runners will move again. 3-2 with 2 outs. Another foul ball.
Yikes. 55 pitches in the last 2 innings.
But if he can get this out again,
it's a 1-1 ball game.
It's a 1-1 game, despite the struggles.
Worry about tomorrow. Got a couple runners in motion right here. 3-2 count. Left-handed hitting Reyes on deck.
Three-two again. Bouncer and Volquez has it. Wow. Last 2 innings, 4 walks, couple hits, but just 1 run. And it's a 1-1 game. Telecast is presented by the authority of the Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Counts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Now you have your Saturday suit on 1 day early, you told me. I think that's the Saturday here.
Well, I got thrown off this morning, I think. I got home way too late.
I think that's
too early.
That's a salute to this guy, right? Not to that guy.
He's got his Saturday suit on too?
Yeah, well, I don't think that hat comes off. Second time through for the Fish. Syndergaard. Gordon takes breaking ball for a strike. T. Gordon, a line drive base hit to left. That hit opened Miami's first. JT Realmuto pulled the ball in the hole at short, and as Dribble Cabrera threw it into right field. Christian Yelich, a sacrifice fly, scored Gordon, but Syndergaard got Ozuna to bounce out and struck out Bohr. And he strikes out Gordon, 97 with a fastball.
A little different feel to that right there than Innings and Volquez right now.
Realmuto takes a strike. JT, a bouncer that brought Cabrera to his right. National League Player of the Week in Week 1.
Well deserved, using all fields, home runs, hit for power. Right man, right spot a lot of times in the first week. slider right there, 91 miles an hour. That's Noah Syndergaard. Even his secondary pitches are the low 90s. The other New York team, the Yankees, play the Cardinals right now. New York and the Bronx. Very interesting. They've actually played each other more times in the World Series than they have during the regular season.
1-2. That's foul. 3-2 Yankees right now, bottom 3.
This is only their 4th regular season series. They've met more times in the postseason. 1926, 28, 42, 43, and 64 in the World Series.
Huh.
Pretty interesting.
And of course, Atlanta is opening up SunTrust Park. Did I read that the Braves start times, because of the expected traffic in that area for weekday games, is going to be 7:30?
It's my understanding, yes.
Huh. 2-2. That used to be the Friday night start time because of weekend traffic. 3-2 to Real Muto. Pulls that one to third. Reyes. And we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Thanks, guys. The helmet became mandatory in Major League Baseball way back in 1956, but the look has been changing the last few years, and the Marlins have jumped aboard. For years, the Marlins, although the color has changed, remember they started out with teal, had that glossy look like you saw on the left, but this year they've gone to the recently popular matte look. The Pirates kind of made that famous a couple of years ago. Yankees have gone to it on the road. Almost every game you see one of the teams that's matte nowadays. Some have gone to the 3D logo as well, like the Dodgers. And tonight, the Atlanta Braves, as you mentioned, with their new ballpark, SunTrust Park, are unveiling their hydro-dipped carbon fiber pattern, kind of like you see in the football team. That is a great look. I don't think they're going to wear it often. I think I even heard Friday, Sunday, and they're going to auction. I don't know if we're going to see them later in the year, but I think that's a great look, and that might catch on around baseball as it has around football. What do you think?
Does the hydrocarbon offer more protection?
I don't think it has anything to do with the protection. I think it's just kind of the look. The equipment manager had seen some of the football teams. I think the Seattle Seahawks, obviously college football as well.
Yelich, center field. Granderson goes back, has room, and makes the catch. All right, thank you, Craig. Noah Syndergaard, a 1-2-3 third in a 1-1 game. the 4th. Marlins and Mets tomorrow. First 10,000 fans get a 2017 wall calendar. And as we noted, it's the first fireworks show of the season. Go to marlins.com for tickets, and it's Adam Conley who will start. Conley finished the game last night through the 16th, and as Don Manley told us today, kind of have treated that as a bullpen session, and he should be good to go almost as if it was a regular start. Now, let's see if Edinson Volquez can straighten out and fly right here. In the second, he walked 2, loaded the bases, got out of it. In the third, he walked 2, loaded the bases, gave up a run. Reyes walked in the second. And that's, you know, you watch those 2 pitches, and that's the pattern with Volquez. He's not only missing, but he's missing by a bunch.
Well, and again, you see, especially on the outside of the left-handed hitters, how much movement he's got out there. But these Mets hitters, they know exactly, you know, as we've talked through this game tonight already, where the Marlins pitching's at. Their own pitching's in the exact same position. So as hitters, and you've got a struggling starter out there who's not particularly efficient, you're going to go up there and continue to make him work. Their goal is to get into the Marlins bullpen as quickly as possible. They know that Volquez is struggling with his command.
Reyes pops it up. Dietrich has it. It's the bottom third of the order here for Volquez. Syndergaard and now Rivera. Cubs lost today. Pittsburgh got a great start from Garrett Cole in Chicago. The Nationals and the Phillies played today, and the Nationals in 10 innings won the ball game 3-2.
10 innings.
I know. Nothing. Right?
Come on.
Nationals 6-4. Daniel Murphy, a walk-off in extras. 10th inning double. Steven Strasburg went 7 strong. Obviously, that game of interest to both these teams, though at this point in the season, everybody's just trying to get rolling in the right direction. The Mets seem to have done that better than anybody in the division, with a 7-3 start, having won 5 straight.
Up to that point, you and I were having a little pregame discussion about this division. We were talking about slugging percentage in this Mets team and all the homers they've been hitting. The Washington Nationals actually are slugging at a higher percentage than the Mets are.
Nationals are slugging at .497. League average is .409, just for perspective. The Mets are slugging at .448. Marlins are at .383, but the on-base percentage for Miami's been good, .332. And their batting average at .263 is 4th in the National League.
They've been more consistent at scoring runs as well, averaging just over 5 runs a ball game, which is a good number.
Syndergaard strikes out. Boy, it'd be nice if Volquez could bookend the 1, 2, 3 innings around the shaky second and third.
To that point about pitch count tonight, it's important that Volquez get as much out of these next 30 to 40 pitches as he can.
Rene Rivera takes a strike. The Braves have opened the ballpark with a couple runs in the bottom of the first. Lead the Padres 2-0. Miami will see the Padres on the next road trip. Seattle for 3. San Diego for 3. Philly for 3. Bouncer in the hole at short. Rojas loads up and a catch, but no tag. Rivera crashes across first base, back on his feet, and that's going to be a base hit.
Rojas, nice job getting to that backhand, but not really able to plant and throw. Kind of has to throw on the run. You see what happens there. The throw gets up the line. Justin Bour comes off the bag and tries to do that quick catch tag almost at the exact same time as Rivera's going by and not able to keep hold of the baseball.
Strike to Granderson.
Get it to Volquez's credit. He continues to work his pitches. He has not just gotten himself into a position where he's throwing his fastball. He's struggling with his command, and he's just searching for the strike zone. Continues to throw his changeup, his slider, his curveball as well. See that slider right there. That's what's really kept him in this ball game, in my opinion. Is the fact that he has stayed to the game plan, even though all four of his pitches haven't been there.
One and two. 2 outs. Rivera, no speed at all at first base. That is strike 3 call, and Volquez has gotten it back together. Bottom 4 in Miami. 1-1 game. Is brought to you by Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com and by Kaiser University. Learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu. It's from the taste of Miami. Down the left field corner. Kind of a Cuban hideaway. Go around that bend, my friend, and you're in for a treat. More than one treat. Looking forward to that. Yes, it's a highly recommended trip here at Marlins Park. Glad you're with us tonight. 16 innings last night. 5 hours and 38 minutes of game time. Our broadcast day probably lasted, what, 6.5, maybe 6 hours and 40 minutes with the pregame and the postgame. Our production group here at 1 o'clock. And then punch the clock around 1:30. Marcell Ozuna fouls that one off. 97 miles an hour from Syndergaard. Ozuna, Board, Dietrich for Miami. Here at the bottom of the 4th, Ozuna fiddling with the arm guard and that left elbow. And he tosses it away and steps back in. Fastball's up.
Healthy hack at that 2-1 slider right there. That's the pitch he chased his first time up. It was last year. Zuna turned around 99 miles an hour, if I remember correctly.
Slow tapper. Reyes on the run. Gets him. For Syndergaard, a couple of hits. Not a big strikeout night. I think he's also in that same mode of just trying to pace himself and get early outs, contact outs, and keep the pitch count down.
Well, despite the score that we see here in the 4th inning, a 1-1 ball game, Syndergaard's at 43 pitches right now. That is where you feel like the advantage is being gained by the Mets.
Volquez at 76. Now Bohr. Bohr struck out in the first, and Syndergaard did not throw him a fastball. A couple of changeups and a breaking ball is what he got. Bohr had some success against Syndergaard.
It's his changeup right there at 91 miles an hour.
The only guy in a Marlin uniform that has ever homered against Noah Syndergaard is Ozuna. Bohr lifts it left field. Conforto is there and he makes the catch. Fox Sports is proud to team up with Girls on the Run in their dedication to empowering young girls and instilling confidence through running. Learn more about how you can get involved by visiting foxsportsupports.com. Derek Dietrich now. Is that a Dark Knight fan? Pitch misses out. Oh, I didn't see the full mask. I just saw the
mask,
the top of it.
But the hair.
I saw the ears. Yeah, it's Thor. I didn't see the hair either. I completely botched that one. That's E6. So you got the Dark Knight, you got Thor. DeGrom, if there's a superhero with great hair, that's DeGrom. And wicked movement, too. Bill Looper out into shallow center. Granderson's on. He's there and he makes the catch. There it is. That is superhero-like, isn't it? It is Don Mattingly bobblehead night tonight. Fans in attendance have one of these. And I would expect that tomorrow night you will see him right there in the Bobblehead Museum. There he is on the rail right now. 1-1 ball game. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. Now last night you got a sneak peek at the Don Mattingly bobblehead. I got one, you got one, but when yours came out of the box, not broken, but just detached.
Almost like he wanted to get away. He just jumped right out of the box.
Well, he knew a 16-inning game was coming.
Well, now we've tried to keep them together, but if you notice this Don Mattingly, he's leaning over a little bit, but he still wants the Marlins to win. Yeah, he's pretty excited about it. I'm nervous right now. I'm afraid he's going to fall, and I really don't want that to happen on air.
Well, I think the epoxy is drying still.
Well, it is, but you see he looks like he's really leaning over the rail right there.
That's after 16 innings.
Right. Well, maybe that's what happened.
You should be surprised he's not doubled over it.
Right.
Over the rail.
Some coffee.
Asdrubal Cabrera, hard hit, bore there, and he steps on the bag. Well, the tale of Edinson Volquez is an interesting one tonight. Preston a duty, with Adam Conley having to work the 16th. Volquez on regular rest because of the off day on Monday, but still less than 24 hours notice. Looked great in the first, not so much in the second or the third, and then snap back to form in the fourth.
Well, let's give him some credit where credit is due. You find this ball game in the top 5. It's still a 1-1 game. Granted, yes, efficiency is certainly part of the question. You know, how long is he going to be able to go? How many pitches does he have left? But again, a 1-1 ball game, didn't change his game plan. And again, what you'll see with a lot of guys, when they start to lose it and they're not throwing enough strikes, they just kind of dial back into that fastball and try to start working around the strike zone. And it seemed like this Mets team, they would pounce on that. We've talked about the power that they have. All the way up and down this lineup, you see it constantly. And when you become predictable, you start to play the Mets game offensively. That's what they want. They want to see back-to-back fastballs, 2, 3, 4 of them in a row. That's what they're licking their chops all about. And when he, as Edinson Volquez has done, continues to change it up, throw the slider, throw the changeup, he keeps those Mets hitters off balance.
Down goes Bruce, up comes Craig.
Rich, as we said last night, the Marlins infield defense has been outstanding. No errors this year, and since 2015, #1 with fewest errors, 84 in baseball. However, they have shifted their approach, and all fans will know this watching the games this year. They have been shifting way more often, way more than double, maybe triple, quadruple than they did last year. Don Mattingly said they looked at it in the offseason. He described shifting as turning ground balls into outs, and statistically, he says, the Marlins were down the line in turning ground balls into outs a year ago. So he said, hey, it's playing the odds. You got to live with the result, as we've seen even early in the season. Sometimes it goes the other way, but they're hoping that playing the odds will lead to more outs on the ground.
Well, and we've seen a couple times in the last week, big lefty bats like Lucas Duda drop down a bunt. The pitch misses down and in. In fact, one of the biggest moments in last night's game, I know it was 9-8 and it was 16 innings, was that Jay Bruce bunt in the second with the Mets down 4-0. It got that inning rolling. They would tie the game there, and both teams were kind of off to the races. See the shift?
Yeah, let's take a look at it one more time. Here's what I want to talk about. So Chet not able to come up with it right here, but this is what we didn't really get to show it to you on that angle right there. Let's see if we get to see it here on this one. Yeah, you see it right there. See that anger, that little kick? That's where I actually thought it was playing into where this game was going.
Yelich deep, and Duda blasts it out of here. And the Mets muscle flexes here in the 5th inning. 17 homers over the last 6 games.
And you see Edinson Volquez right there talking to JT Realmuto. My bad. Here you go. It's a good look at it. We talked about that loose shoulder, that front shoulder where those pitches are hanging just a little bit. That ends up out over the plate and up 82 miles an hour. That does not get down in the zone. Lucas Duda gets a real good rip at it. Takes it out over the 407 side.
Boy, way up into the bushes, too. That's a home run with the old dimensions. And Juan Nieves is on the phone for the first time. The Marlins bullpen active. Dustin McGowan, who pitched so well last night. Change up, swung on and missed. And the frustrating thing certainly for Volquez is he had the first 2 outs of this inning. So 2-1 Mets.
It speaks a little bit to the inconsistency in the performance tonight. I mean, he's had moments where he's looked really good and got into rhythm, but it just as quickly gotten out of that rhythm in certain spots in this ball game.
Pitch count at 89. And of course, we talked about Syndergaard. He's thrown only 50 in his 4 innings.
Hey, John.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Wait, was that on the air?
Two and 2. Smacked into center field. Conforto has a hit. Well, here's one of the issues here. Obviously, Don Mattingly would like to get as much as he can out of Volquez, and I think he's seen enough. He's on his way out. So Edinson Volquez knocked out here in the 5th. And Miami's going to go to a bullpen that pitched 13 innings last night. Dustin McGowan is the first out of the pen. He pitched 2 scoreless last night. Mets have taken the lead. Lucas Duda with a long shot to center, and it's 2-1. Edinson Volquez could not get out of the inning. The Hutch Award, we talked about it. It was created in 1965 in honor of the late Fred Hutchinson, whose courageous and inspirational battle with cancer. He lost it at the age of 45. He was a major league player and a major league manager. And in Seattle, in a huge banquet which raises a lot of funds for cancer research, Dustin McGowan is the 2016 recipient. And if you look at some of the names that have received that award, going all the way back to the 60s, Mantle, Koufax, Yastrzemski, Rose, Kaline, Torrey, McCovey, Stargell, Brock, Brett, Bench, Molitor, Giambi, Schilling, Moyer, Biggio. Just an incredible honor for Dustin McGowan. One pitch, gets the out. Yelich squeezes it. Nicely done by Dustin McGowan. 2-1 now. Mets on top. That man's homer in the top of this inning, the 5th. Inside Look brought to you by Toyota, your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Highest percentage of runs allowed via the home run, and that was before the Duda shot. Marlins, of the 39 runs coming in, they had given up 20 had come via the long ball. Padres, White Sox, Phillies, Twins ahead of them on that list.
Is this where I jump in and tell you of the 10 runs the Mets have scored in the series, 5 come from the long ball? There you go.
Nicely done. Ichiro now, his second at bat. He saw one pitch and hit a fly ball out to center. Marlins would love to at least push the pitch count of Syndergaard's north here. He's only thrown 52 pitches as he starts the 5th inning. Miguel Rojas, and then the 9 spot in Miami's order, and the Marlins will hit for McGowan in that spot because the bullpen is up and active. Ichiro flailing at that. Changeup, 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, and you see the effectiveness of it. I know young hitters at home, you say, well, wait a minute, that's 88 miles an hour. Why would he be way out in front of that? Because he's playing off the 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And in that situation right there, even Ichiro was fooled by a very hard changeup.
Syndergaard got the glove down, captures it, probably robs Ichiro of a hit. Here comes Rojas. He's singled back in the 2nd. Mets arrive at 7-3. Miami's 4-5. We told you that the Nationals won today. They are 6-4. And the Phillies, with that loss, 3-7. Rojas has himself another hit. Carries a broken bat all the way down to first. I don't know if he kissed it or smelled it or what he did on the way.
Well,
some guys will smell the bat just to see if they can smell that burned wood. Here's a look.
Went down a winner. Very grateful for that bat. Why? produced a base hit.
Yeah, but he took it with him.
He's grateful. She never kissed your back.
Oh, there you go.
Gave him a little kiss. That's right. That bat was good to him. Got a couple hits in it, I think. You go back to his last bat.
Tyler Moore now. He'll get the pinch hit bat in the pitcher's spot. Gordon's on deck and Rojas is chased back. We talked about one of the vulnerabilities of Volquez, Harlan Garcia, down in Miami's pen.
Now the only lefty in the Marlins.
He won't be in the bullpen.
Lefty.
Won't be in the bullpen very long. He's coming into this ball game.
Right.
And Moore rips one into left field, and all of a sudden Miami has runners first and second. 2 hits here from the bottom of the order against Syndergaard, and up comes D. Gordon.
I'll tell you what, Tyler Moore has been so impressive early this season, coming off the bench. That's 98 miles an hour, Rich. Up there, turns on it, base hit in the hole. He has been a weapon off the bench.
So here is Gordon. The Marlins have a rookie warming up in the bullpen, about to make his major league debut. It's a good look. Gordon takes down low, singled in the first, struck out in the third.
Single in the first extended his hitting streak to 9 games.
Runner goes, and a soft little pop out into right center, and it's going to fall for a hit. And Rojas will score in a break for Miami. Rojas was rolling. Gordon hit it right between 3 Mets.
Oh, you know what? There's where your break is. Well, you get the changeup at 90 miles an hour. But what you're not seeing behind this is that Flores was on his way to second to back pick because your runner at second base was in motion in Rojas. Watch it. Watch that. 2 steps in. He bailed. That's when he looks back and he realizes that ball is going to fall. Easy run scored for the Marlins.
He was in too deep by then, man.
Right.
He had no.
Well, there's nowhere he's going. I was actually talking about Flores out at second base, which was where he was drawing his attention, and then where D went. That's why D was giving him props as he was going around first base. Kind of created a little offensive chaos right there for the Mets defensively.
Moore's at second, Gordon's at first. Real Muto takes a strike. So 3 consecutive hits. One of those a pinch hit by Tyler Moore. You got Real Muto with Yelich on deck. Syndergaard misses out. Everything has a 9 attached to it, right? The changeup's at 90.
It does, man. You know, that's more for us, and I think it's so much fun for the fans at home. When you watch this game, you see the big numbers. That's really what it comes down to. But for a hitter, it's not as nearly a deal. Hitters, they talk separation. And what I mean by that is, yes, they understand 91 on the changeup, 92 on the slider, but Noah Syndergaard throws 98 miles an hour. It equates the same way. They're not overmatched by it. They're just really concentrating on making sure that their front foot's down and that their bat path is on time to hit 98 and then adjusting from there.
A run across in a 2-2 game.
maybe simplify that thought for hitters at home. You don't go to the plate and you say, well, wait a minute, 91, that's a below average big league fastball. Like, why isn't that getting hit out of the yard more? Well, because your hitters are going to the plate looking for 98.
And
that's
to
what you
get
need
to
understand.
98, you got to cheat, right?
Exactly, and that's the point, is that you're not looking for the 91-mile-an-hour changeup, and that's why you don't say, well, why aren't they doing more against that particular pitch? That's why they're not, because they're not looking for it.
Two to Real Muto. Mets infield back for 2 and time called. Two runs, 5 hits for the Mets. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Marlins. Mets have the only error of the game. And it's funny how, if you were to look at this game simply by looking at the score, you'd have no idea that the 2 pitchers have had completely different nights. I mean, it's felt like Syndergaard has been in control the whole way, and it certainly looked like and felt like Volquez was battling and struggling and just surviving.
Well, the Marlins have caught a couple breaks here. If you go back to the first scoring opportunity, it was an error on Cabrera. Ball gets away, kind of set up some traffic, and even that base hit right there where there were some moving pieces on the Mets defensively, it's kind of helped the Marlins cause. But to your point, I mean, this is a 2-2 ball game in the 5th.
Little tapper. Syndergaard looks to second and goes to first. What helped there for Miami is that D. Gordon wasn't being held at first, and he got a great jump off the bat. Gives Yelich an opportunity. Runners second and third and 2 down. Yelich hit a drive to deep center his last time up, and he hit a deep fly ball to left center his first time up. That was a sacrifice fly. So he's had some pretty good swings against Syndergaard.
Syndergaard uses that slider to get ahead right here, but this is a big at bat for Christian Yelich. The fortunes of this game, 2-out RBI right here, or 2 RBI base hit right here, could certainly change the tone.
The Marlins not only have scored a run, they've upped the pitch count into the upper 60s. Breaking ball. No swing. It's Brian Gorman at third, and the count 2-1.
Christian Yelich right there tracking that slider at 92 miles an hour. He's seen enough now that he's getting a pretty good look and feel for how that slider breaks.
To 1 pitch. And the count even now at 2-2. Last night, long into the night, early into the morning, 5 hours, 38 minutes, 16 innings, 509 pitches. Just about everybody in uniform got in. Starting pitchers were pinch hitting. Relief pitchers were working to their max effort. And it was the Mets on a Travis d'Arnaud home run. I believe that was right around 12:38. That was the difference in a 9-8 Mets win. Back at it tonight, tied here at 2. High fastball, triple digits from Syndergaard. But Miami draws even, and after 5, it's 2-2. Five hits apiece. We've seen Noah Syndergaard just hit 100. And so into this rivalry, a tie game, and pressure steps for the very first time Arlen Garcia. And you look at his numbers, the number of starts, a starting pitcher for most of his minor league journey up the ladder in the Marlins system. Last year, Jacksonville, Jupiter, through a couple of games, actually 3 games in the Gulf Coast League, but he'd been in the Double-A level for the past 2 seasons for Miami. 24-year-old out of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. He is 6'3", 217.
4th best prospect in the Marlins organization. He's got a good arm. Mid to low 90s fastball. You'll see him get up to 95 every now and again. Good changeup.
You know, and the irony too is the reason he's here, the Marlins needed an arm, and the guy that had to go down because he had options, which means you could send him down without exposing him to other teams claiming him, was Nick Wittgren, who pitched great last night.
9 up, 9 down. But I think his pitch coming up to look. 45 pitches last night, yeah, and I mean, and that's just it. We were talking about that the injustice in the game of baseball sometimes does a fantastic job. You see the numbers on the season for Nick Wittgren. You know, didn't do anything wrong to get sent down, but it's the way the game works. You know, it's the business side of it. I can't even imagine, like, thanks for everything you gave us tonight, but you got to go down tomorrow because we need your spot, because we need an arm. He'll be back soon.
Garcia misses in. He's got bottom third of the order: Reyes, Syndergaard, and Rivera.
It's a real good opportunity for Garcia if he can be aggressive around the plate. If his stuff plays, Mets hitters, they're not going to have a good feel for him. You see that 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, but he's got to stay around the plate. Doesn't want to create trouble for himself.
It's got to be a thrill for Garcia, not only to be in the big leagues as a Dominican lefty, but the first guy he faces in the big leagues is Jose Reyes. That's a strike.
I'm sure he's faced it before.
I would expect Winter League, somewhere down there. Reyes pulls it foul. Reyes lives in Santiago in the Dominican.
I think Don Mattingly is looking at this opportunity for Garcia right here with just open-minded optimism with the idea that maybe he can give him 2 innings tonight if in fact he gets into a rhythm.
Well, first hitter he faces, he walks, and Reyes has got speed. Now he's at first, and we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Yeah, we talked with Mr. Garcia with an interpreter today in the clubhouse. He said one of the keys that working with Juan Nieves and Jim Benedict, the Marlins vice president of player development. It was working down in the minors on using his back leg to drive into his delivery and pitch. He says really improving his pitching off his feet has been a key, and it's been working very well. And so far, you can see a live arm for sure, guys.
All right, his fielding prowess will probably be tested here. You've got Reyes at first. Syndergaard is up. We talked about the reason Terry Collins wanted Syndergaard in the 8th spot. He didn't want Rivera in front of him in case this situation came up where he was bunting.
He's got some speed in Reyes out there on the base paths. And a young pitcher on the mound, Garcia.
Strike. Glenn Sherlock, third base coach of the Mets. Oh and 1. Last night's game was, for a 9-8 game, a seesaw of a game. A lot of leads gained, a lot of leads lost.
Syndergaard getting signs. He wasn't getting signs. He clearly had to ask.
He likes to swing away.
Oh, yes, he does. I believe he is one of the many who, along with Madison Bumgarner and Jake Arrieta, that were advocating for pitchers in the home run derby, I believe it was last year.
Don't think this is what the commissioner had in mind with the pace of play initiative.
This hasn't been dealt with yet, that's all. The meeting between the hitters and the third base coaches.
Runner goes, great jump. There's the bunt. Garcia backing up, picks it up. Runner going to third is Reyes. Boers throw across, not in time. It almost looked like Garcia stumbled over the mound backing up on that ball rather than coming towards it.
Well, this is an example. Let's take a look at the slide at third base. See, Jose Reyes gets that left hand caught up a little bit. He's able to, I think he's able to maintain the bag. Watch his left hand gets hung up by Dietrich's left foot, does a nice job keeping him off the bag, but that right hand works itself around, and then I think he's able to hold the bag with both hands. Reyes off with the pitch. Watch Garcia. You can see he commits to going to third base before he even releases the ball right there, but that's classic veteran taking full advantage of a young man on the mound.
Don Mattingly comes over. And there's a quick discussion with Brian Gorman about what, I'm not sure. The Marlins are not challenging the slide. So Rene Rivera is the hitter. Marlins infield in. Rivera not a great hitter, and with a young pitcher on the mound, you never know what Terry Collins might pull out of his hat. Fly ball down the right field line. Ichiro watching it, and it's a foul ball. And I don't think Ichiro had any idea of catching that ball if he got to it in foul territory.
That's a great question. I'm not sure if we're to that point of the game yet, but to your point, where does an outfielder make that catch later in those later innings of a ball game? I think in that instance it was just merely far enough foul to where he wasn't going to go crashing into the walls.
All right, if you're in right field and it's Rivera at the plate, does that make a difference in whether you catch it or not? Pitch misses out. I know it's one thing if it's.
I think in this position, because you have a young pitcher on the mound, you're looking to get as many outs as you possibly can, even if it means maybe surrendering the lead here in the 6th inning. Top of the 6th, you still have enough opportunities to score a run, but just have to remember the strategy behind this game is still bullpen management in a lot of ways, because you have so many guys that were used last night. And again, we don't know everybody that can and might throw tonight's ball game, but my guess is that Garcia is in a position where you got to still have to coddle him a little bit, because he's a young man who's making his first showing of the year.
Rivera couldn't hold up, couldn't check his swing. And now Garcia's out in front 1 and 2. He's got a lefty bat and Granderson on deck. And he got him.
Big out right there. Garcia goes up there, hangs that slider just a little bit, but certainly proves effective at the top of the zone.
Granderson 0 for 2, walked in the 3rd, struck out in the 4th. Edinson Volquez got the start, did not get through the 5th. Reyes dancing from 3rd, and it's 1-0. Justin McGowan got that last out of the 5th, and here's Garcia making his major league debut. Fastball strike.
Last bat to Rivera certainly has to get Garcia's confidence moving in the right direction here in this spot.
Got a breaking ball by Granderson. 1 and 2. Reyes still at 3rd. Pop up. Dietrich back. Rojas over, and it's Dietrich who makes the catch, and Rojas kept his ground. And that's a nice major league debut for the lefty, Harlan Garcia. Collinsworth for the last week has been talking about separation, and we figured that Noah Syndergaard's a good guy to illustrate it.
We've got 2 pitches overlaid. Watch Noah Syndergaard here. We're going to show you an 83-mile-an-hour changeup and a 98-mile-an-hour fastball at the exact same time. Look at the mechanics of Noah Syndergaard. Everybody else, you see them in double form, but not Noah Syndergaard. And look at the 2 baseballs right there. That is where a hitter is completely fooled. His eyes are telling him one thing and he's seeing another. But for Noah Syndergaard, the mechanics right in step. Both the changeup and the fastball look exactly the same. That is big league pitching for you, people.
Marcell Ozuna, Justin Bour, Derek Dietrich. Ozuna takes a fastball in.
This is great video work right here. Look at this. This is absolutely amazing when you watch Noah Syndergaard do this. And you see how his mechanics look. He doesn't even change. And look at the 2 baseballs. Wow.
It almost looked in that shot like the Mets had the big shift on. They had 2 infielders over there at third base.
You're right.
Ozuna.
Make the game even harder.
Yeah, it would.
As if hitting 98's not hard enough.
Ozuna's bounced out twice to third. One was an important one for the Mets. That was back in the first. With a runner at third, that one popped foul back and out of play. Syndergaard gave up a run in that inning, the first, and the Marlins got another in the 5th. 3 consecutive hits. Miguel Rojas, Tyler Moore, and D. Gordon. And while the Marlins had Volquez wobbling, but somehow getting it to the near the end of the 5th inning, McGowan and now Garcia getting it past the 6th. The Mets have had Syndergaard out there, and he's thrown just 74 pitches. He strikes out Ozuna. Sunday, Marlins, Mets. And the opening week wraps up. 1:10 start. Aquafina 4-pack. You get 4 tickets, 4 Nathan's hot dogs, 4 Pepsi soft drinks, or an Aquafina water. Starts at $84. Kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash after the game. Well, Syndergaard has laid waste to the middle of Miami's order. Ozuna now 0 for 3. Bour 0 for 2. Dietrich in that 6th spot is 0 for 2. Yelich in the 3 spot is 0 for 2 with a sac fly. And it's been off-speed stuff that he's featured in the Bour at bats.
And we talked about that a little bit at the Open. Noah Syndergaard this year has shown the willingness to use his secondary pitches a lot more than he has in years past. Going back to that 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Bour lines it to right, and that's a hit. Bruce over to get it. 1-out single for Justin Bour.
On an elevated slider, you see it right there. See how Noah Syndergaard's fingers were on the outside of that ball, kind of getting around. It acts like a slider, even at 91 miles an hour. Justin Bour, nice swing on the base hit to right field.
Now Dietrich, who's popped out and flied out. Oh, and 1. Ichiro is on deck. Syndergaard got a few strikes early in the ballgame against Dietrich in that spot. Fastballs up and in. As you see Barraclough getting ready for the 7th.
still see the velocity, but that pitch count is starting to creep up there just a little bit. Syndergaard at 81 pitches now.
Rivera out to talk to Syndergaard. I think if you ask both managers who's available and who's not available, there's probably more not available on Terry Collins' scorecard than on Don Mattingly's.
Hansel Robles has pitched in 4 consecutive games. Addison Reed, Blevins, Salas, they've all pitched in 2. Josh Smoker, Montero, all went 30+ pitches yesterday. So that tells you the condition of their bullpen right now. Now, some of them are going to be available, but heavy workloads last night.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Let's see if Syndergaard comes back up and in with the fastball. Rivera creeps in. Fastball, broken bat, little dribbler out towards second, and Flores gets the out. Bohr ends up at second. And here comes Ichiro with 2 outs in a 2-2 game. Taste of Miami is coming up. It's a great fundraiser for the Marlins Foundation. Best chefs and restaurants from around Miami showcased here at Marlins Park. Marlins.com/Taste of Miami for details. And you can get ticket packages as well. All the proceeds benefit the Marlins Foundation and the Marlins Foundation mission, education, kids. Here is Ichiro. It still amazes me, even though I saw him from the very start, is to watch how far Ichiro moves in the box. It's nothing a hitting coach would ever teach.
Well, you can't teach that. In fact, I was actually taught against it. I mean, it's some people call it drifting. See how the weight transfers to that front foot. Most hitters in my generation in the 90s were, ooh, no. You know, you want some separation there. You want that front foot to stride forward, but you don't want your weight to come with it. You want it to stay back on that backside.
I think that's why a lot of scouts and executives and quite frankly major league players scoffed when they first saw Ichiro in 2001.
Well, there's an incredible value to it when you look at what Ichiro's game is in part. And you think back early in his career when he ran a lot. I mean, he's still one of the fastest guys around, but that was a huge part of his game, and you'd see him get tons and tons of infield hits.
Ichiro drives that thing to right center field and deep. Granderson back at the track, reaches up and he got it. Boy, Ichiro muscled up 400 feet from home plate. Granderson an over-the-shoulder catch, and this ball game is still 2-2. Mets dugout. Noah Syndergaard, remember he had blister issues after the first start. Terry Collins and the Mets training staff looking. Syndergaard here getting a nice play from Curtis Granderson, running down a long Ichiro blast. And so Terry Collins working the gum and working the scorecard. Mets bullpen is in action right now, and so that may be an indication that that's another troublesome spot on the throwing hand and fingers of Noah Syndergaard. Rafael Montero is the Met relievers. Marlins make a pitching change, and into the ball game is Kyle Barraclough. Nice inning from Harlan Garcia, making his major league debut, a scoreless inning. Asdrubal Cabrera, Jay Bruce, Lucas Duda. Bouncer out towards second. On to first in time. We apologize for the great audio that we have here at Marlins Park. The sights and the sounds of the game. Every now and then you hear something that you'd rather not have heard.
Yeah, baseball players get frustrated, and there's a lot of emotion each and every night in these ball games. And we'll speak to the moment. The Mets probably felt they had an advantage. Noah Syndergaard still in the ball game. Marlins on the ropes a little bit, but I think that the scales are balancing out a little bit right now. 2-2 ball game in the 7th.
Here's Jay Bruce. Now, come on, in your career, you never got frustrated and said anything like that.
I didn't.
Didn't think so.
No, it's not. It never was really my style. There's a lesson I learned about the game of baseball early in my career, Rich, which was this: replaying what actually happened never benefited anybody, and it's in part with the umpires. It's like even arguing with an umpire, there's really not a whole lot of. If he calls you out, even if you were safe, you're still out.
Gordon,
you know what I mean?
On his knees. Very nice. Kind of lost his balance for a moment, recovered nicely, which sends us to our Geico Major League moments. Let's go back. Park Jarry witnesses the first regular season game played outside the United States. Expos Cardinals 69. That was opening day for the Expos, and of course that man there would have a great run as a Montreal Expo, then as a Cub. And that man, the Hall of Famer, called many of those games. A couple Hall of Famers there. That kind of looks like my garage door over the holidays. All these
spider webs?
No, mine has lights on it. The wires. Look. There it is.
You definitely don't want to spill any water in there.
No. In fact, early this year, Glenn Geffner got caught in that, and it took 3 technicians to get him out. They lured Geff out.
Why do I believe you?
They lured Geff out with a Shake Shack concrete. Here's a 1-1. Misses inside. Jay Bruce, 1 for 3. It works out for the Mets with the lefty last night, righty tonight. A lot of the guys that played a long time last night have the night off, including Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes hit 2 homers last night. You made a note late. Look, and it's all relative, right? Really late, like in the 14th and 15th, that Cespedes didn't look right.
No,
at that
his
point.
effort, the effort level was. I mean, and I say the effort because there wasn't any.
And he had the flu.
It wasn't me questioning the effort. It was just it caught my attention because he barely made it. I mean, in fact, he didn't even come close to making it to first base. I believe it was about his last at bat of the ball game. He just didn't look right. He got into the on-deck circle, didn't even take any warm-up swings. Literally just was waiting for about 5 minutes to go hit. and I thought that something didn't seem right, and I had actually thought he may have hurt himself. Now this was in the 16th inning. It was actually after the d'Arnaud homer, and we find out that he was playing under the weather last night.
And he's under the weather tonight, so that's one of the reasons he's not in there tonight. Neil Walker getting the night off as well. d'Arnaud may get tomorrow night off too. Conforto.
When you saw the Mets lineup tonight, you looked at the middle of it between Bruce, Duda, and Conforto. You knew that that was probably going to be the hardest part for the Marlins to navigate. All three of these lefties off to good starts this year. Duda with a home run in the ball game tonight. Jay Bruce, 6-game hitting streak, 3 homers in his last 6 games. Conforto a couple homers, homered on Sunday. All stacked right in a row in the middle of this lineup. Garcia, the only lefty, has already pitched in this ball game and is out of the ball game that was in the Marlins bullpen.
Conforto out of play. He's driven in a run with a sacrifice fly. He's 1 for 2. He had the big double last night, which tied the game. Marlins had the 8-7 lead. That's one of the things that for the Marlins has been frustrating. They're 4-5, and 3 of their 5 losses, the bullpen has blown a late lead.
Have been in just about every inning and every game this season, and I think that's just a really good reflection of how they're constructed and what they believe they can do and what they believe this season can be. But you're already getting a glimpse of the National League East. We've seen the Nationals and what they're capable of doing offensively, what they've got in that starting rotation. You see this Mets team, the Marlins are going to be going up against them all season long.
Fairclough at 0-2 against a powerful left-handed bat. Whoa.
Just more on his toes.
That one didn't come out of the hand quite right.
He flexes like a cat. All year, baby. All year.
0-2. Got him, buried it. Realmuto scoops, avoids the bat, fires to first in time. So the Marlins bullpen looking good tonight, and they need to be. It's 2-2. From Curtis Granderson against Ichiro, but Todd Hollinsworth, you saw some things that you really liked.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Curtis Granderson's been doing this for a very, very long time. And listen, when we see good, let's talk about it. You know, Curtis Granderson takes a beeline for this one. We know it was a great catch. What I want you to all see is how he goes about this. You saw that straight line. Look, he's able to take his head off the ball. Highly trained. Rich, do not try this at home. This is something you have to practice, kids, with a tennis ball before you get good at it. Have your buddy throw it up in the yard, chase it, but pick your spot out. Get to the point where you're willing to take your eyes off the baseball. Yes, that's right. Big league outfielders, a lot of times, in order to make up ground, and when you turn your head right there, you're actually faster and take your head off the baseball and run to a spot, you can make up a couple steps, and that's exactly what Curtis Granderson did right there. But again, that's something that you have to practice. I remember as a young man in instructional league, early mornings out in Arizona, we used to do this all the time. Throw the ball over our heads, spin and run, and get used to running, not watching the baseball.
Saved a couple of steps, and he saved a run.
And he needed those steps. You saw where he caught that ball.
It's Rafael Montero now. So Syndergaard is out. We saw the Mets trainers looking at his finger. Stanton is on deck. Rojas leads it off. He's 2 for 2. And so it looks like it'll be Stanton after Rojas and then D. Gordon. Rojas instrumental in that 5th inning. A 1-out single started things. That's where the Marlins drew even against Syndergaard, who, by the way, still hasn't walked anybody this year. 19 innings, no walks.
I know that we're surprised at that when we say it statistically speaking, but after watching him pitch tonight, are you still surprised?
No, this is
right. I mean,
he's really, really good.
Well, and that's the thing that's so amazing about it. Well, that was last night. You're going to see it again right there, fighting that off. Keep those hands inside. That's the only way you can defend yourself. That's a defensive swing right there. That's a picture of it. But getting back to Syndergaard's command, Rich, I mean, you see what he does at times. I mean, he's willing to challenge even big league hitters because he's got 98, 99 miles an hour in the tank in a big part of the plate. And most pitchers, they live on the corners a little bit more.
Another jam shot and another hit.
3 hits tonight.
Don't try that at home, kids. Don't swing at that pitch, kids. Right? That's it. Up and in and on the fists, and he got the hands through.
Well, this is a new bat. You're right. You remember the last one, he hit it off the end. But you know what? So what? I mean, he's got a 3-hit night going. It's a big ball game. Marlins want to draw even in this series, and he's honestly putting together pretty good at bats. In fact, Rojas 8 for 16 versus the Mets this year, so he's got good vibes up there. He's feeling good.
Rojas at first, Stanton at the plate. In a pinch hitting appearance. Stanton doesn't get a lot of these. We'll see how he fares. Pitch came in, got the bat. That's a strike. It's 0-1.
You see his numbers against Montero. To your point about pinch hitting, I'm not sure this qualifies as a pinch hit. I mean, he was technically playing earlier today.
I got you.
All right, it's a pinch hit.
12:30 in the morning.
That's right. It was only a little while ago, right?
I thought I slept through like the 5th inning or something. That one foul back. Jerry Blevins, a lefty in the pen. David Phelps. Stand behind in the count, 0-2. Montero in for Syndergaard. We have not received any word from the Mets or their clubhouse as to Syndergaard and the possibility that that blister has knocked him out of this game.
And you might not, but definitely saw enough. There was an acknowledgement. There was a conversation between Syndergaard and Terry Collins about that finger.
You know, the blister may not have knocked him out of the game, but the fact that there might have been something starting on the finger may have knocked him out of the game, and because he only threw 87 pitches and he really didn't have a stressful inning except maybe that first. That guy seems immune to stress. 2-2 to Stanton, and he can't check his swing, and he goes after a pitch in the dirt. So a nice out to get for Montero, and here's Gordon.
D. Gordon having a nice ball game tonight. Couple of hits.
Gordon got off to a slow start, but has put it in gear.
His at bats since getting back to Miami have been a lot better. The one thing, kind of we're talking about it in regards to Ichiro, but for D still does stay on his backside a little bit more. But one thing that I noticed on the road trip to start the season, he was drifting a little bit, kind of getting through his swing, maybe jamming himself just a little bit. Since getting home, staying on that backside much better.
Talked about the hitting streak he has. You know, he opened the season on an 0-for, and then a series of 1-for-5s and 1-for-4s. Now the hits are coming with the more regularity. 2 more tonight, had 3 last night. Gordon laces one into center field. That's a hit. Rojas around second on his way to third. Big turn by D. And Miami is set up at the corners. Real Muto coming up. Well, you're right. Ball's jumping off his bat right now.
Yeah, we talked about that backside. Check this out right there. Look at the feet. You can see how much he does stay on that backside. Gets the ball down in the zone, able to shoot it right back through the middle. But the key is staying on his backside. Nice job by Rojas. Good read. Once that ball's through, he's on his way to third base. Go ahead run here in the bottom of the 7th.
Now Montero's looking for a ground ball. Real Muto's looking for a pitch he can drive through the infield. It's one of the great lessons I learned about hitting in a situation like this, talking to Tony Perez, one of the great RBI guys, because a lot of people say you're looking for a ball you can lift, and Perez would say no way. In this spot he was looking for a pitch he could drive, because if he tried to lift it, Doggy would pop it up.
I think that conversation is just probably misinterpreted in some ways. It's what you're looking to do. I mean, if you're a good high ball hitter, in fact I liked the ball up. I didn't want to look down in the zone, but it wasn't about me changing the level of my swing. I was just changing my perspective, and I wanted it to be up in the zone because I knew if I drove it to the outfield, I would do my job and pick up that sacrifice fly.
Gordon's running. Pitches up. Rivera's throw on a hop, not in time. And that erases the double play opportunity.
Stolen base right there by D. Gordon changes the at-bat for JT Realmuto for sure. Good jump right there. Goes to the head first slide with runners on second and third now. That's going to pull their infield in here in the 7th inning.
And Realmuto's got a 1-0 pitch to look at. Gordon's at second. Rojas at third. Ball and a strike.
Good take by JT Realmuto right there. It's not a pitch he's looking for. We just talked about that. That's a pitch low and away. Pitcher's pitch.
That was the elevated fastball, and Montero got it by him.
Well, Montero was able to get it by him, but you can tell what the thought process right there was for JT. He was thinking up in the zone, and that's what he was looking for. I didn't sense lift. I just sensed that Montero was able to get the ball by him.
Big moment here. Bottom 7. 2-2 game. Second and third, and 1 out. Montero and Realmuto. Same pitch.
That right there is why many believe JT Realmuto is really going to continue to take the steps forward and become the player that he started to show everybody he could be last year. That is a big league take right there.
Now the 2-2. Even further out. And this is probably the last pitch that Montero throws. We've got Yelich on deck and Blevins in the bullpen.
Now, because of that matchup there, there you go. They're just going to put him on.
Let me correct myself. That was the last pitch that he had to throw. Bags are loaded. It'll be Yelich against Blevins in a 2-2 game in the bottom of the 7th. Intently. Bottom 7 here. Blevins part of that Mets bullpen that was incredible last night. Mets went 11 1/3 innings. 8 hits and no runs out of their bullpen.
Now you see the number for Blevins on the season. Been very effective already. 3 2/3. You see the 6 strikeouts. Christian Yelich has some history with him. 3 for 10 against him. So certainly familiar with Blevins.
No place to put Yelich. Some good speed out there. That, I think, is probably going to be next, and I think it needs to be cleaned up, whether it's the Marlins or the Mets or whoever. Guy comes in a game, talks to the catcher, catcher goes back, catcher comes back.
Now, this is Commissioner Rob Manfred's biggest pet peeve is the bullpen. He consistently talks about how it slows down the pace of play.
And the Marlins are as guilty as anybody. The Mets are guilty. Everybody is, because it's the rules. All right, Blevins against Yelich. Infield's back for 2, 1 out. Bottom 7, 2-2 game. And Yelich takes strike 1. Blevins has inherited 7 runners this season, and he has stranded all of them.
He's doing a good job living at the bottom of the zone. Saw that good first fastball to Yelich. Got a curveball to go along with it as well.
In fact, this is a guy, and it's a stat that a lot of people don't look at for relievers, but I certainly do. He stranded 47 of 55 inherited runners last year, tied for the most in the majors with Javier Lopez.
Oh, you talk about the situation here. The bases are loaded. It's a 2-2 ball game in the 7th, and he's in the ball game. These are high leverage situations.
Breaking ball, and Yelich pops it foul. Now Blevins has the second strike. Left-handed bats 1 for 8 against Blevins. Righties are 0 for 3. He was tougher last year against righties, significantly tougher against righties. Got Ozuna on deck, bags loaded here, and a 1-2 to Yelich. Two coming. Yelich lines it left field. Conforto the catch. Rojas tags. Throw is a good one, and he's out. And it's a double play. Obviously, the Marlins will look at the replay. What a throw by Conforto. Rivera with the tag, and here's our first look at it.
I think he's safe. I think he's safe.
Yeah, watch the tag. It looks like he misses the hand. He hit the ground, and Rojas got the back of the plate, and the Marlins are challenging.
The tag is on his backside. It's not on his elbow or his hand. Wow. What a throw from Conforto.
Just a brilliant throw.
I cannot even tell you how difficult that is on a line drive. Yep. You see it right there. That glove is actually hitting the ground. Watch the glove and watch that his left hand. He's got his mitt on there. Watch the glove's actually going to hit the ground right there. It's not tagging him right there. Able to get across home plate before the tag on his upper left thigh.
Umpires.
A lot of safe calls in Marlins Park right now.
Umpires watching on the big screen. Umpires up in New York certainly have the replays of our telecast, of the Mets telecast. Let's blow it up.
You like blowing it up, don't you?
I do. And you could,
There's the touch. He's already across home plate.
I think the key there is you see when the glove meets the hip, the hand is on the plate.
Right.
And from that previous angle, you could see that the glove did not touch the arm.
And he knows it too. That's why he continues to tag him. Oh, wow. That is shocking.
Wow.
Now, the only answer you can give is that
The call stands, which means there wasn't enough evidence to overturn. And the Marlins are stunned. Michael Conforto with the play of the night. To be overturned. Don Mattingly was stunned. In fact, Mattingly walking down the dugout. I wouldn't be surprised if Mattingly is headed down in to talk to, or maybe even look at it himself. Watch this from this angle. You can't tell from there if the glove hit the arm or not, but you see the hand hits the plate when the glove hits the hip. And from that low side view, it looked as if the glove never touched the arm and the first contact was with the hip. And so the Mets get a big play from Michael Conforto. David Phelps enters here in the 8th. Flores fouls it back. Well, you talk about two plays that changed the course of the game in 2 nights, and it's Conforto who did it. Remember last night, the double that tied it in the 8th inning? And in the bottom of the 7th here, throwing out Rojas on the Yelich drive to left. Center field, Yelich there. We get so wrapped up in the replay and the tag, you lose sight of the throw.
This is absolutely amazing. Good 2-strike swing right there from Christian Yelich. Long line drive. Should have been good enough. Most left fielders aren't able to make that throw. Conforto on the fly on a line drive. You saw his footwork there. I mean, that is just really arm strength. Michael Conforto really showing it off there. He wasn't able to get his hips turned. He wasn't able to gain any momentum behind it.
And here's that side view where it looks like first contact is with the hip.
I'm still convinced he's safe.
Well, I mean, just in the sentence that I uttered, it looks like. It can't look like. It has to be definite. And that's what worked against. It works against every team.
Right.
Where you've got to be 100% sure to overturn a call. Reyes smacks it in the gap. Ichiro picks it up. Reyes around first, holds right there. Nice play by the 43-year-old in right. Reyes a 1-out single.
Do you think that at some point baseball will have a way to put a camera angle right over home plate? I think in that instant right there where if you could see right over the top, you'd probably be able to tell, you know, that little gray area that I think we're all convinced of. See,
this is close.
It is close. Yeah, you see it right there. That's the gray area. I didn't think that he was there because he stays with the tag and he goes to the ribs. That right there, that's where you think the initial tag is, but there definitely is a gray area there. To me, my argument is, can you get a camera angle like right on top of home plate? That right there is just a little bit behind it.
Cespedes now. So flu-like symptoms last night. He played 16 innings, hit 2 homers. Kept him out of the lineup tonight, but here he is, pinch hitting in the 8th inning. And a strike from Phelps.
Clean shaven Dave Phelps.
Good speed at first. Phelps 0-2 on Cespedes. Got him with the cutter that came back in and caught the plate.
Big pitch from David Phelps right there. Hot as Yoenis Cespedes has been, you see it right there. That starts off the inside corner and works back to the inside corner. Yoenis Cespedes gives up on it.
2 outs. Reyes still at first, and here is Rivera. Pitch misses out. In his day, Reyes was a lethal base stealer. 3 stolen base titles from 05 through 07. Obviously that pace has slowed down as age has crept in. Reyes has not attempted a stolen base this year.
Well, that might be in part to the struggles he's had offensively as well. Hasn't been over at first base a whole lot.
That's right, you can't steal first, can you?
We've tried. Many of us have tried.
That's the front door from Phelps. Rivera has an infield hit. He's lined out and struck out. 2 outs, top 8. One and 2. Reyes a little bit bigger lead. Phelps chases him back. Curtis Granderson on deck. Mets have 6 hits. Marlins have 8. 2 runs apiece. 2 incredibly close plays at the plate in the last 2 nights with replay review. Liner to left. That's a base hit. going to bring Granderson up with runners first and second.
Right there, the offense is struggling tonight. There are so many fireworks last night. 1 for 11 combined in this game with runners in scoring position.
Phelps misses in. Here's your matchup. Couple of former Yankees. And a pickoff throw. Rojas and Reyes all tangled up.
Rojas not able to quite get to the bag, almost got him anyway.
It's nice short hop pick. And that's an interesting spot where he's coming from. He didn't come over from short. He was almost directly behind the bag at second.
Nice short hop pick, dive tag.
Yeah. Yeah. All in one motion.
Right. These guys aren't the greatest players in the world.
Right field, well hit. Ichiro back there, and he makes the catch. Phelps through the 8th. Bottom 8. 2-2. Marlins, Mets. The Marlins at the bottom of the 7th, trying to get that go-ahead run across. Rich Schwartz along with Todd Hollinsworth. Now the Marlins had the bags loaded, and Christian Yelich at the plate. Miguel Rojas was the runner at third. And in this big ballpark, outfielders play fairly deep. And when the ball left the bat from Yelich, you had the thought that that's enough to get the run home. And then all of a sudden you saw the ball come out of Conforto's hand, and that was a bang-bang play.
Well, the carry on the throw is absolutely amazing. When I say that it is purely arm strength, that's how you have to see it, because the carry from the ball off the bat to where Conforto was, he had no momentum really coming forward. Just to throw it as hard and as far as you can, and he threw a dot to home.
And then again, there's that finish on the review. The Marlins challenged. He was called out, and after a long review, it was ruled call stands, not enough evidence to confirm or overturn. Josh Edgen enters the ball game for the Mets. Ozuna takes a fastball down low, and it's 1-1 strike. Justin Bour, Derek Dietrich also due up. Marlins have used 2 pinch hitters, Tyler Moore and Giancarlo Stanton. Ozuna, off the glove of Cabrera. That was a bolt, and it looked like Cabrera just got a piece of it.
Well, he did just get a piece. Exit velocity written all over this one. My goodness gracious, able to get to that slider out in front. Watch how he gets the barrel out in front of it. My, that is a rocket into left field.
Whew, top of the glove.
Great effort by Cabrera. Great swing by Ozuna.
And a loud hit to open up the 8th. Bour up the middle, Taylor made 6-3. Cabrera to the bag. Ozuna is erased, and Edgen gets the double play he was looking for. And here comes Dietrich. This was a Noah Syndergaard start, 6 innings, no walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 runs, 1 earned. He left after he had his hand examined. Threw 87 pitches. Rafael Montero for a third. Jerry Blevins got a couple of outs to finish off the 7th. AJ Ramos in Miami's bullpen. Dietrich with the count even at a ball and a strike. Remember the replay at home plate last night? It was whether A.J. Ellis got the glove on the backside of the Mets runner, who was called safe originally. After further review, he was called out. That runner was Cespedes, and it was a Jay Bruce hit.
Let's take a look at it. Jay Bruce shooting one the other way. Ozuna comes up with the throw. See A.J. Ellis, nice job getting to the short hop, had to read it. Also getting to the backside of Cespedes before he gets to home plate.
That hits Dietrich. Rivera says it hit either the bat or that Dietrich didn't get out, and right now a heated conversation at home plate.
Well, it definitely hit him, and he definitely didn't get out of the way.
He didn't really stick his arm out. He just didn't move.
Right. Call stands. There you go.
That's a good call. And that sound that you heard is that arm guard that a lot of players wear now in the game. So a base runner. Here's Ichiro. Boy, Ichiro hit one to the warning track, back of the track, in center. Curtis Granderson made an outstanding running over the shoulder catch, and that saved a run in the 6th inning. Outfield towards left center, not real deep. Two fastballs in on Ichiro. Rivera's out for a visit. Dan Worthen. RBI Baseball 2017 returns. Fast-packed pick-up and play MLB action, packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and more. Get RBI Baseball for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and mobile devices. Learn more at rbigame.com. Another fastball, and that's in to Ichiro as well.
Well, had a meeting just before that pitch right there, still missing to the same side of the plate he's been struggling with. Go back to the Dietrich bat, hit him on the inside part of the plate. 3 straight fastballs to the inside.
That's a strike. Edgin comes back, runs the count to 3-2.
Not a bad take right there by Ichiro. You get a runner in motion, he shoots a gap. Might be able to pick up a run.
He stays with that fastball. He did, and Ichiro
Defensive swing.
fights it off. Dietrich will trot back to first. The 43-year-old wonder. Another defensive swing.
Edgin staying with the fastball right now.
Dietrich running again, another 3-2. Finally threw a breaking ball and struck him out. And down goes Ichiro, and down go the fish here in the 8th. Still 2-2. Across baseball every April 15th. Greg Minervini, Jeff Conine. Marlins Live, get it started. South Florida Honda dealers bring it to you. 70th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's debut. Here in Miami, Mets and Marlins, and the Marlins make change here. John Mattingly with a short bench, going to be proactive here and bring Riddle in the ball game, and that way he can hide the pitcher spot in Derek Dietrich's position in the order. That puts Riddle in the 9 spot, so it'll be Rojas, Riddle, and Gordon opening up the bottom of the 9th. 2-2 here, 9th inning. And the Marlins closer gets Asdrubal Cabrera, Jay Bruce, and Lucas Duda. Ramos was available last night until after he warmed up and heated up to come in the game and didn't come in. And because of his workload, Don Mattingly wasn't going to keep getting him up again.
Now, some closers, that is always the case. Not everybody's, some guys can do that, but not everybody can.
Cabrera swings and misses.
To leave you lose the effectiveness. You get up, you go down, you get up, you go down. Now for closers, typically because they pitch in such a specific spot, that is almost always the case with a closer. Not all, but most.
Ramos pulls that one, and it misses low and inside. You know, it's a very different game, obviously, than last night. But it's kind of the same result, right? I mean, it's 2-2. Last night it was 8-8. You have relievers that are fatigued tonight, not available for either side. They'll flip to left. And Ozuna's back there, and he makes the catch. You had two really crucial calls at the plate and replays at the plate. One went Miami's way last night. The other goes New York's way tonight.
I think these two games, you look at the standings. Yes, it's the first couple weeks of the season, with the Nationals, and how this division's going to play. I think these two games have been a classic example of how much fun this season's going to be. This Marlins team, very competitive, very talented. Most people felt that coming into tonight's ball game, the Mets have a huge advantage. They've got Noah Syndergaard. The Marlins had to rework their rotation. They had to move Volquez up to today, and here we are in the 8th inning. It's 2-2 ball game. I think it speaks volumes to the character of the team that Don Mattingly has put together. The heart and character of this Marlins team as well. A lot can be said for being in this spot, tied at 2.
All that feels good. But if the Mets walk out of here with another win tonight in another game like this, that hurts.
It's a good point, and it will start to pull on you. I mean, you look at what the Marlins record is. They're 4-5 right now. I mean, there was a moment on the last road trip after they lost the first 2 games where I think we were like, okay, where's this team going with this? And then they responded and played a great little 3-game stretch and gave us a glimpse of what could really happen with this team if they get on a good roll. But at the same time, it also shows you how this team is constructed, maybe a few of the things that they're dealing with in the rotation, the bullpen as well, and even over the last couple of games where this all ends up going. I mean, again, that advantage tonight was supposed to go the Mets' way. They've got their guy on the mound tonight, and their offense is rolling right now. And here you are, deadlocked at 2 in the 8th inning and a chance to win a baseball game.
Miami needs Ramos to get some outs here. Duda climbs in. He homered in the 5th. That gave the Mets a short-lived 2-1 lead. He's walked twice and he's singled. So the Marlins haven't retired this big left-handed bat out of USC all night long.
See the numbers. A.J. Ramos, career against Lucas Duda, lots of success.
Ball and a strike. Drops in for a strike.
Nice job by Ramos changing the eye level of Duda right there. Gave up on that pitch. Fastball low and away. Slider a little higher in the zone, a little closer to his hands.
Went back to it, and it's 2-2.
Nice try at the bottom. That's what you want to do right there. There is contact. It would be on the ground.
Two balls, two strikes. Bruce the runner at first. And Duda pulls one foul. This is a 4-game series through Sunday. And then it's on to Seattle for 3, San Diego for 3, back to Philly. It's kind of a zigzag pattern.
Go all around the country.
Yes. 3 very different climates. Bouncer, Gordon to his left, fires for 1, relay, got him! That's a tough double play. Riddle turns it. Excellent feed by Gordon. Perry Hills worked long and hard with Gordon on this. Replaced the feet, fired a second, and that's 2. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by your South Florida Honda dealers.
Well, partner, we've fallen into a pattern in this series. Just looking at some numbers here. Innings 1 through 5, these two teams have combined for 19 runs. Dare I say the rest of this. Innings 6 through 16, 2.
There you go. There's. Would that be a trend? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't want to say 16 again.
Steve LeBeau is our baseball historian tonight.
Bottom line.
John Chimchuk also sending in a few missives electronically. Edgin. Rojas swings and misses. 3 hits for Rojas. 3 for 3 night with a run scored.
Ties a career high, 6th time in his career.
Second inning for Edgin. That bullpen is, I don't want to say banged up, just somewhat used up after last night. Same with the Marlins. It's one of those, as a manager, you hope happens to you as far away from spring training as possible. Rojas fouls that 2-1 pitch off. In fact, that's that last 2 weeks of spring training where relievers are asked to work on consecutive days. And this is one of the reasons why you want to know that guys are able to answer the bell the day after pitching, or in the case of some of these guys, the day after you've pitched twice. Rojas at 3-2. Miguel doesn't walk a lot. He is a free swinger.
What's worked tonight is he's 3 for 3 in this ball game.
That one was way outside. And so Rojas does walk. And here is Riddle.
You saw last inning with Edge and the issues he was having. The left-handed hitters on that side of the plate. Decides to go to the two-seam fastball right there. Nowhere close.
All right, Todd Hollinsworth, you are now the manager for just a second. What are your options here if you are Don Mattingly?
Well, you're going to get a runner into scoring position. One of your hottest hitters tonight, D. Gordon, in the on-deck circle. JT Realmuto inclined to give them 2 opportunities to drive in the winning run with a guy at second base. So I'm thinking bunt here.
Edgin with Rojas away from first. Reyes creeping in at third. Riddle gets it down, and it rolls foul. It's 0-1.
Well, JT did a nice job last night. Remember the situation that he was in. He had a sacrifice bunt. Rivera was over at first base, and he pulled the bunt to the right side, putting the catcher playing first base, Rivera, in a position to field the ball. Now, in this situation tonight, you have to look at it a little bit differently. Lucas Duda is at first base currently. Now, he handles the position very well, and he pounces. He charges hard. So Riddle may have to really concentrate on where he gets this ball.
Got that one off his leg, and it's 0-2. Do you let him swing away, or do you ask him to try to bunt at 0-2? Freddie Gonzalez relaying the signs.
I let him swing away. Here's why. We just talked about some of Edgin's issues on this side of the plate. You see how his ball's running in and why he's even having a hard time bunting it. That is a bit of an advantage to a left-handed hitter if the ball's on that side of the plate. The strikeout pitch would be the slider away. He's going to have to defend it or lay off of it. But if he gets one of those fastballs in, he might be able to come up with some contact.
Edgin may be checking there to see if Riddle flinched and played his hand on the motion to first. Riddle didn't really budge. And it's 0-2. Remember that breaking ball you talked about was the pitch that struck Ichiro out after a lot of fastballs in that at bat.
They're going to go to it.
And you're right, there's that fastball that's in. It almost clipped Riddle.
Just kind of chases the left-handed hitter. Keeps him honest.
This is bottom 9. This is 2-2. This is Marlins and Mets. Inning number 25 after 16 last night. Pop up behind the plate. Rivera races back and he makes the catch. So there's one out. Here's Gordon, who is 3 for 4. And has 6 hits in the series. 1-run games versus any opponent for the Marlins. More one runs against the Mets than anybody else. And 5 games over in those 1 runs. Say that 5 times fast.
Not trying that.
Rojas does not possess blazing speed. He's not an accomplished base stealer. You got Gordon up. He shoots one down the left field line, over for Conforto, and he dives, and it's foul.
Good effort by Conforto right there. Actually got a pretty good jump on that. We're talking about Rojas over at first base with Edgin on the mound. Now, this is the situation where you're looking to steal a base, but what you really want to do is get a great secondary lead. You let him make his move to home and then really concentrate on getting those good slide steps off, because it's imperative If D. Gordon finds a hole right here, you can get yourself over to third base, or if he shoots a gap, could score that winning run.
This one hangs up for Conforto. He makes the catch in fair territory. So a leadoff walk, but Edgin's been able to get 2 outs, and here's Real Muto.
Now this is the matchup you're shooting for. If you're Don Mattingly, love to have a runner in scoring position. But the way the lineup is constructed right now, with Riddle at the bottom of the lineup, D. Gordon there, Christian Yelich even behind him, Real Muto is your right-handed threat.
JT is 0 for 3. Was walked in the 7th. Biggest play of the night was Conforto's throw. Another visit from Rivera. Conforto's throw to nail Miguel Rojas on the line drive off the bat of Christian Yelich. Called out, challenged by the Marlins. The ruling from New York was that after viewing all relevant angles, they could not definitively determine that the runner touched the plate prior to the fielder applying the tag. So the call stood. It wasn't confirmed. Marlins were hoping for an overturn. Kept the game at 2-2, and here we are in the bottom of the 9th. A banged up Mets bullpen, a fatigued Marlins pen after 16 innings last night. And Edgin throws a strike. It's 1-1. The Mets have homered again tonight. They've popped 17 homers in their last 6 games. Miami was able to get 2 runs off of Noah Syndergaard, who left after 6 and had his finger examined, raising questions about that blister. Now it's 2-2 to Real Muto.
Edgin being very careful, staying to the bottom of the zone at the knees to Real Muto.
2-2. And he reached out and just poked it. Stays alive. And of course, the Marlins were supposed to start Adam Conley tonight. He pitched the 16th last night. Edinson Volquez pitched tonight. Didn't look sharp, but was effective enough to get out of there with just 2 runs. Edgin's breaking ball is in. It's been a bullpen game since then for Miami, and a bullpen game for the Mets since Syndergaard left after 6. Full count, 2 outs. Duda is behind Rojas, and Terry Collins waves him back. He wants him on the bag. He doesn't want Rojas to get that big a jump. That's the winning run with 2 outs and a full count. Real Muto high and foul.
You see this slider hanging. JT just out in front of it a little bit. Pulls it down the left field line. New York Mets playing no doubles defensively in the outfield. Very deep. A lot of communication between Rivera and Edgin. As you said, Duda trying to keep him close right now. The steps so valuable. You see the defensive lineman right there for the Mets in the outfield, just about 2 steps in front of the warning track.
This is a big ballpark. When you play that deep, it opens the gaps up even more.
They're defending nothing over more than the gaps.
Runner goes. Real Muto, right center, well hit. Bruce after it, and he's not going to get it. Rojas around third. He will score. Ball game. Miami wins it.
innings tonight.
As painful as last night was, this one has to feel really sweet. After almost 6 hours and a loss, the Marlins were staring at Noah Syndergaard and the red-hot Mets tonight. But the Fish get him in the bottom of the ninth. JT Realmuto, no doubles, not this time.
Finds that gap. Does a nice job driving it the other way for your game winner.
Right here. 2 seconds.
And the Marlins now even their record at 5-5. They've taken 3 of 5 against the Mets this year. Let's go to Craig.
All right, we're going to let JT grab his breath for one second. It was nice not to see this go to extras, though, tonight, JT.
Yeah, I was thinking the whole game, man, this is too close for comfort, because obviously with last night's game, we're trying to get this one done in 9, so I was glad we were able to pull it off there.
And, using up pitchers, that had to be a concern, too, for your ball club.
Yeah, I mean, bullpen got taxed yesterday. Guys did a great job of keeping us in the game for that long. Just unfortunate we lost it, but tonight the young guy came in, did great for us, Yarlin, and then the back end of the bullpen did a good job as well.
All right, tell me about your at-bat. Unfortunately, couldn't get him over to second base, so you need an extra base hit to score him. What are you thinking of that at-bat?
Really, I was just trying to get it to Yelich, that whole at-bat. I was trying to have a good at-bat, find a way to keep the line moving, and with Yelich behind me, I knew that he would have a good chance to win the game if I just got on base somehow. Fortunately, I was able to get in a good count and stayed on the ball and drove it to right field.
And once you hit it, you knew it was in that spot in this ballpark where, boy, he's going to find something.
Yeah, I knew that was my happy spot, so I was glad they didn't get to it and we were able to win.
That's such a tough loss last night. This is the kind of win you need to put that one away, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after last night, I was pretty tough to swallow, leaving here at 1 a.m. with a loss. But it was big for us to come out and get the victory tonight and follow that up.
By the way, what did AJ say about having to catch his start and he gets a 16-inning job?
He wasn't too happy about it. He was getting a lot of massage work and a lot of treatment today, so he's feeling better now.
Right, go enjoy it with your mates.
Thank you.
All right, guys, JT Realmuto is the hitting star, and this one ends before we go to extra innings.
The feel-good win, you're right, Craig, for Miami tonight. Realmuto, the player of the week in the National League for Week 1, comes through here on a Friday night in Miami.
Beautiful swing right there. You see the elevated fastball, shooting it the other way. We talked about getting that guy in motion on the 3-2 with 2 outs. There you go. That's the advantage. Great top hand by JT. Can't defend the gaps, partner, as you told me. Can you play that deep? That's how you win a baseball game right there. Gutsy win for the Marlins.
Well, those two teamed up. I think the cat's out of the bag now, so to speak, which is appropriate on this homestand, right? Miguel Rojas is the monkey. So right. Rojas, it took him a while to get into the clubhouse and get in costume. So he got Realmuto after the fact. Look at the love. Just look at the love. Marlins win it in walk-off fashion.